Welcome to the Institute of Self-Worth, a curriculum for life designed to teach principles of self-worth. Let's join Pastor Vic Porter as he shares on the power of imagination.
Your spirit does not need saved if it's recreated in the image and likeness of God. But your soulish man does. Do you know why? Because there's times out here when the stuff challenges you and you draw back. When you begin to draw back, you're going back to your own destruction. But when you continue to renew your mind to the truth of the Word, it's called the saving of the soul. You know what happens when the soul gets saved? It says the same thing that the Spirit says. Nothing can stop me. Now let's look at this. We always say this. Everybody turn to Hebrews, chapter 11. Well, for a lot of folks, that's the only chapter in Hebrews that they know, is Hebrews chapter 11. But I'm going to give you something to think about. I would like for you to take in your mind, or write on a piece of paper or something, Hebrews chapter 10, verse 38, 39, and 40. You say, but Pastor Vic, there's not a 40. I know. We changed it when we wrote the book. When they wrote the book, they broke the thought pattern and they said, now faith is. I don't want to break that thought pattern. I want to pick up right at verse number 39 and go right on. Now watch. But we are not of them that draw back unto perdition or destruction, but we are of them that believe to the renewing of our mind, or to the saving of the soul. Now faith is. Now get that. You can't believe for something that you don't know belongs to you. And the only way that you can know something that belongs to you, know what belongs to you, is by the renewing of your mind to the truth of the Word. If you don't renew your mind to the truth of the Word, then as far as you're concerned, you don't know whether you can believe God for that belongs to you or not. If you don't know that it's God's will to heal you, how can you exercise faith to get healed? You can't. If you don't know that it's God's will to cause you to prosper financially, how can you believe for increase? You can't. But he says here, Vic's translation, but you have renewed your mind to the truth of the Word, and your mind, your soulish realm, and your spirit connect. They have become one, and the salvation of your soul is working itself out. Now you can operate in faith. Now look what he says. Now faith is the substance of things hoped for, and the evidence of things not seen. The word hoped here means future tense. Hope is a future tense word. It creates a picture. What are you hoping for? What have you hoped for? It is a picture of the future, and the way that you get to the future is not looking at the past or the present circumstances of life, but continue to look to the future and the salvation of your soulish man. And whenever an obstacle comes nigh your dwelling, not if, when, you do not back up here to your own destruction. What would it mean to draw back into your own destruction in relationship to verse number 1 of chapter 11? That means this, that when you draw back to your own destruction, the thing that you hoped for is postponed again and again and again and again. Proverbs says this, that whenever hope is postponed, it makes the heart sick. When the heart's sick, it doesn't function well. Your heart, your soul, is not to be sick. It's to function well. But the only way that it can function well is whenever it's renewed to the truth of the Word of God, not to the stuff out here. Now let's go over to 2 Corinthians chapter 10. 2 Corinthians chapter 10. Verse 4, 5, and 6. 4 and 5, I'm sorry. 2 Corinthians chapter 10, verse number 4. He says, "For the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but they're mighty through God to the pulling down of strongholds, casting down imaginations and every high thing that exalted itself against the knowledge of God, and bringing into captivity every thought to the obedience of Christ." 3 words I want you to write down: thoughts, imaginations, and strongholds. Thoughts, imaginations, and strongholds. Now, thoughts are seeds. There's lots of seeds out there. Someone said that the average person in a 24-hour period will have 10,000 thoughts. Don't know, don't care. Not going to count them. But let's suppose that you and I are the average people and we have 10,000 thoughts in a 24-hour period. Not all of those thoughts are godly thoughts. There are some ungodly thoughts. Does that make you lose your salvation? No. You don't lose your salvation over that. You don't lose your salvation. But now watch this. Thoughts go through our mind like this. But they never materialize in our life until they slow down and become an imagination. Now watch. As long as thoughts are going this way and this fast through your mind, that's okay. Do you know where we get into trouble? Is whenever an ungodly thought begins to slow down. You watch it and it comes back around time and time again, and it comes slower and slower and slower. And then every once in a while it stops. When a thought slows down and stops in your mind, it's now become an imagination. It's being developed. It's being developed in the picture part of you. Now the word strongholds here has a twofold meaning. Write this down. Stronghold either means a fortress or a prison. A fortress or a prison. One is designed to protect you, and the other one is designed to protect others. A fortress is something that's designed to protect you, but a prison is designed to protect others from you. Does that make sense? There are many, many people walking around out here in open air on Sunday morning, church, at school, that are as much held in captivity as somebody that's behind bars. The stronghold in their life is a thought that is contrary to the truth of the Word, that they have developed into an imagination, a picture, and it has become a stronghold in their life. That stronghold in their life is holding them captive against their will. And it's dragging them through the mud, and that's exactly what the devil wants. All seeds or all thoughts can be received or rejected. Whenever the enemy and he does many, many times throughout the day, will create bad thoughts across your mind. Let him go on. But as long as they're going through your mind, there's no problem. But whenever they begin to slow down, now you need to write this down because this is extremely important. It goes like this. Why do some thoughts become imaginations? Why do some thoughts slow down in between this part of you and this part of you, slow down in the middle, and produce either a stronghold, a prison, or a fortress? Listen carefully. Every thought that becomes an imagination can only become an imagination when it has a picture that is attached to the thought. Every time, let's talk about ungodly thoughts. Every time an ungodly thought runs across your mind and it slows down and it develops a picture, that picture is in your imaginations, and that picture is now beginning to control you, and it's going to place you in a stronghold or a prison, and you'll walk that out of your life. That's why pornography is one of the most damnable things on the face of the earth. I believe that with all of my heart. You know why? Because it's full of pictures. That's exactly what the devil wants to do. Now watch. When those thoughts with pictures coming across your mind, they'll slow down. And they'll even stop. And they'll wait for the development of it. And then that picture becomes a part of your imagination. Now there's good thoughts. God has good thoughts about you all the time. And when you and I have those thoughts and we slow them down, thoughts of plenty, Jeremiah said, thoughts of increase, thoughts of health, thoughts of prosperity, thoughts of favor in every situation. When those thoughts begin to slow down, the reason they slow down is because there's a picture that's attached to them also. And that picture is being developed, and it's going to create a fortress in your life. Verse number 7 of chapter 10 says, do you look on things after the outward appearance? Do you know what I found over the years? We judge people based on what we see on the outside, based on what we've heard about them. God looks at the heart. We need to also. Now I want to ask you a question. What is power? What is power? You know, we have the wrestling federation, the wrestlers that do all their stuff, and maybe you enjoy it and maybe you don't, I don't know, but we find these huge men that's probably on steroids, a lot of them, and I don't know that, but it would appear that there's some altar forming situation in their life. But we'll see these guys pick up somebody and throw them across or out of the ring or into a wall or something. And we say, man, that's power. And it is a form of power. But I want to show you what real power is. It's more than physical strength. I want to read this. Power is more than physical strength. True power is the ability to face a circumstance or a picture on the outside with the truth or a greater picture on the inside. If what you see on the inside is bigger than what you see on the outside, the power of your imagination will cause what you see on the inside to literally change what you see on the outside.
Thank you for joining Pastor Vic Porter today. For more information on the Institute of Self-Worth, please visit our website at www.instituteofselfworth.com. May God's richest blessings be yours.